Welcome to SIDEBOOB Cinema, everybody. Your podcast within a podcast. I'm Jonathan Astro. With me is Ricky Allpike and AJ.
Yay!
AJ, you're back.
I'm back. I'm back and I'm ready.
Back in the habit. Now, did you... Sheila filled in last week. She was... look, to be honest, she's on the line now, as she always is. Not to show you all behind the curtain, but...
Hello.
You jumped in early, Sheila. Now, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but Friday the 13th Part 1 and 2 weren't your favourite films.
They sucked the fat one.
There you go. So anyway, Sheila will be throwing in her 2 cents every now and then, I'm sure. Today we're covering Friday the 13th Part 3 and Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which is the 4th part, if you didn't get that. So firstly, AJ, did you catch up or did you jump straight in on 3?
I jumped straight in on 3.
Great. That's exactly that's what it deserves. You jump in and just go, fuck it.
And it kind of felt like I was really jumping in because the third one starts off strangely.
Yes. Well, it's actually you and I have shared an experience here because this was the first one I ever saw. And so I didn't really know there was any other ones, because when you're a kid, you're a fucking idiot.
You didn't read the Part 3 on the VHS box?
What don't you get? Kids are fucking idiots. Okay? You heard it here first. So anyway, I watched this one. It was terrifying. And just scared the pants off me from the get-go. I had it on VHS and that made it even more dangerous. Like illicitly recorded, middle of the night, that sort of business,
Ooh.
You know the score. All right, well, enough fucking about. Ricky, what happened in this movie?
All right, after a characteristic recap of the previous film and a sexy disco-inspired opening title theme, a badly injured and unmasked Jason Voorhees goes to a lakefront store for a change of clothes. While there, he murders the store owner Harold and his wife Edna. Meanwhile, Chris Higgins and her friends travel to Higgins Haven, her old home on Crystal Lake, to spend the weekend. The gang includes a pregnant Debbie, her boyfriend Andy, prankster Shelley, his blind date Vera, who does not reciprocate his feelings, and the 2 stoners Chuck and Chili. After running into a man named Abel, who warns them to turn back, the gang meets Chris's boyfriend, Rick, at their destination. At a convenience store, Shelley and Vera get into a confrontation with bikers, Ali, Fox, and Loco. Shelley gets in the car and knocks down their motorcycles, impressing Vera. Later, the bikers show up at Higgins Haven, where they take the gas out of the van and attempt to burn the barn down to get even. Jason, who's been hiding in the barn, murders Fox and Loco with a pitchfork before beating Ali unconscious. That night, Chris and Rick head out into the woods, where Chris reveals that she was attacked by a deformed man 2 years prior, which prompted her to leave Crystal Lake in the first place. The main reason she returned was to confront her fears and escape the trauma. Back at Higgins Haven, Shelley scares Vera with a hockey mask and then wanders into the barn, where Jason slashes his throat. Taking his mask to conceal his face, Jason emerges from the barn, and the carnage really begins. One by one, the young and horny adolescents get bumped off in increasingly gruesome ways. Vera gets a spear gun shot to the eye. A handstanding Andy is bisected with a machete. A hammock-resting Debbie gets a knife thrust into her chest from beneath. Chuck gets electrocuted after being hurled into a fuse box. And Chili is impaled with a hot fire poker. Chris and Rick attempt to drive home from the woods, but find their car has died and are forced to walk back. They return to the house to find it in disarray. Rick then steps outside to search the grounds, but Jason grabs him and crushes his skull with his bare hands, making one of his eyes pop out of its socket. Jason then attacks Chris, who narrowly escapes the house and tries to flee in her van. The van runs out of gas because the bikers stole that gas, and Chris makes her way to the barn to hide, but Jason attacks her again. Inside the barn, Chris strikes Jason over the head with a shovel and hangs him. He regains consciousness and temporarily removes his mask in order to get free from the noose, which causes Chris to recognize him as the same man who attacked her 2 years prior. A still living Ali, that's one of the bikers that tried to burn down the barn, tries to attack Jason, but he quickly finishes him off. The distraction allows Chris to strike Jason in the head with an axe. He staggers momentarily towards her before finally collapsing. Exhausted, Chris pushes a canoe out into the lake and falls asleep. She then has a nightmare of an unmasked Jason running towards her from the house before disappearing, which then turns into the decomposing body of Pamela Voorhees, with her head attached, emerging from the lake to pull her in. The following morning, the police arrive and escort a traumatized Chris away from Higgins Haven. Jason's body is shown to still be lying in the barn as the lake is shown at peace. What did you guys think of part 3?
Well, I need to get your guys' perspective because I'm presumably you guys have seen this for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So what the hell did you make of it?
AJ?
Well, I think part 4 was better,
Yes.
but part 3, yeah, Shelley was a dick. He was the worst.
Shelley was the worst. I hated him. I hated him so much.
My note says Shelley is the worst guy ever. And then I've said he looks smelly.
Yeah.
He looks like a smelly loser.
As if he's gonna, and she was hot. As if that was gonna happen.
Do you know? I had that thought this morning. I'm outraged. Like I know, you know, how some chicks get outraged, and it's, you know, you're like, oh, come on. No, this is one of those chances. This is one of those times in your life where you say, no, Vera, you're absolutely right.
Definitely.
It's an outrage that he should even be near you. You know what I mean? Like, you're hot, and you know he's disgusting, and you know,
what, he can juggle. That was his.
Well, you know what his problem is? Like, it's a lot, right? I mean, he's annoying, which is the worst part. But you know, since we like to body shame on this show a lot, I would just say, no. Look, when you're a fat guy, there's cool fat, like Ethan Suplee in Mallrats. That's cool fat, right? That's when you're like so fat that it's more than a lifestyle. You're a lifer. You know what I mean? Even though he's ripped up now. But so when you want that type of fat, Chris Farley fat, it's different. This guy's got the worst kind of like male, like feminine hip fat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's Melbourne chic. It should just be called the Melbourne body.
Is he like a La Femme trapped in a plump body?
Yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst, like just the worst. Like, and he looks, yeah. Anyway, I fear my greatest fear is that I might have been a bit of a Shelley in growing up.
No, Shelley's just not bringing anything to the table.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, he's not funny. Those jokes, like him scaring people, stupid.
He's a practical joker, but
who likes that guy?
Sucks.
No one.
Nobody.
All right. So Shelley sucks. Apparently, he was like picked off a street corner. Like he said, it was a real. Oh no, I brought trivia forward, haven't I?
You have brought trivia
corner.
But that's fine. Trivia can weave its way how it likes.
I know. I felt I can. I said it, and I heard the click of the landmine. I went, oh no, it's trivia corner. I ruined it again.
No, he was discovered on the street corner handing out flyers for probably some god awful, I don't know, off Broadway show where he juggles or something.
But anyway, I think I watched a documentary about it and the whole thing, and he's sort of coming to his own in middle age, so everything is evened out. Yeah, so when you're gross when you're young, like, it's okay later because you sort of you know, everyone reaches your level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, speaking of things that suck, out of the 4 films, I think this one has the worst acting in it. And there could be a reason for that, and that is the 3D. Now, this was shot in 3D, and it was such a complicated process, and so much attention was given to making sure the 3D worked that not enough attention was afforded the actors or any sort of performative aspects of the performance. So it was very much, everyone was very concerned about what was happening behind the camera. And also the 3D gimmicks, I think, really get in the way. I mean, we didn't see it in 3D, so that made it a bit more annoying. So you've got all sorts of situations where they've tried to shoehorn any sort of 3D effect. So, you know, the guy who's doing the yo-yo, you know, there's kind of like a low worm's eye view of him, and he's on the top of the barn, he's doing the yo-yo. And then there's, you know, obviously there's weapons and stuff that come at you, and So that's all for 3D. But then shit stuff like Shelley throws his wallet to Vera in the shop for like, here, you know, she needs some money, and he just, you know, who throws their wallet, you know? But, and I did read that crew members were getting pretty steamed about Shelley because he wasn't throwing the wallet properly.
Oh, so he was cheating in real life as well.
Yeah, he was.
That sucks.
The
That
worst.
sucks. You have got to be a real piece of work if in the story world and in the real world you're a douchebag.
You do
Yeah.
shit.
Unbelievable. I'm outraged. Yeah, okay. 3D sucks. Okay.
3D sucks. And I do have a quote here from Tracy Savage, so one of the young nubiles. The key priority in every scene was making sure the 3D effects worked. It didn't matter how the lines were delivered. It didn't matter if we stumbled or fumbled. It didn't matter if our performances were not perfect. We never did a second take. The 3D effects were very technical, a very difficult thing to do.
But just it's so frustrating because like the way they talk about it, some of the people behind the scenes, the higher ups, like not the actors, they obviously are appalled and stuff, but the higher ups talk about it being a great gimmick, and you know it's part of a cool tradition of, you know, sort of carnival-esque horror films like William Castle, and you know it's sort of an 80s resurgence of a 50s, you know, gimmick which was originally brought about to sort of combat TV. I just find it to be exactly what it is, which is a carnival gimmick that, and it sucks, and particularly in this film. I think Jaws 3D does a much better job of it, which I have seen in 3D. And you know what? The only thing I'll say is if you watch it at the cinema with other human beings and popcorn, this can be great, this sort of experience. But the moment it leaves the cinema, it's completely pointless and it sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, I guess there's just no forethought there, because now you watch it and like someone poking a broom handle at the screen is so stupid.
Yeah.
They should have focused more on the dialogue.
Fuck, just anything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like it's but having said that, as I said, this film did scare the hell out of me. It's so funny the way things change. Like, you know, times change, you change, all of it. But when I saw it, it was just the things I remember, that stoner getting stabbed by the hot poker. I remember just a sort of somewhat slow and realistic menacing that our heroine gets by Jason in her flashback. Like that was just so, he seems so fevered and desperate, like to get her, you know? He wants to get her. And at the end, the thing that got me the most terrified was, and to this day, it's burned into my brain, is his gleeful smile when he sees her at the end in the window.
Yeah.
Like, and he's just like, and he smashes out and she's just screaming. And I'm like, oh my God. I always think when I look at the windows that I'm just going to see Jason's gleeful smiling face. Like he's happy. He's like, oh, there you are.
Got ya.
There you are. Let me continue my killing, you know?
Well, before we leave the topic of 3D, it's interesting to note that they needed, the producers thought that they needed an advertising gimmick now that audiences sort of caught on to the storytelling formula of these movies. And 2 months after the release of Part 2, a 3D comedy western from Spain called Coming At Ya made stunning for the time.
I think it's Coming At Ya, not Coming At Ya.
I've got it written down here. Coming at ya.
No, because if you say coming at you, that sounds obscene. You can't put the emphasis on the other part of the word. You just say coming at you.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on.
Good thing they didn't call it coming on ya.
Well,
all right.
there you go.
So it made $12 million, mostly due to the novelty of its 3D. So yeah, I mean they saw that and saw the big success of that and went, you know, why don't we do the same here? But it's interesting to note also that a lot of the critics, all the critics sort of reviews and stuff that I've read, they've all slammed the movie. They hate it. You know, Ebert, he famously hates horror movies and stuff, but they all applaud the 3D.
Because they're old balls. They're old balls. They're like this sort of greatest show on earth. Like sort of 1950s, vintage cinema, mothballs nonsense. They're all like, oh yes, oh you heard his fucking review of the second one. He was just like, oh, this cinema where I saw Rebels Without a Cause, you know, and I saw Universal Monsters, and you just go, oh, shut up, Ebert. You co-wrote a Russ Meyer movie. Shut up. You're not. You know what I mean?
Mm. Hey, one thing I forgot to mention. I hate to jump back to part 2, but I forgot to mention that Ebert, in his review, he actually doxed Pamela Voorhees. What I can't remember the actor's name.
Betsy Palmer
gave her address out in his review and encouraged people to write letters to her and complain about the movie.
Well, yeah,
he is a massive piece of shit.
Thank you. Finally.
Look, you know, I'm hanging on to something with him, but that is terrible. That's terrible behavior, and I think surely there would have been backlash about that. Surely.
Well, I don't know. I think there wasn't enough. You know, I mean, he didn't lose his job, did he? I mean, if you did that on Twitter, if you were, say, I don't know, if you were a reporter for, well, Fox News or something, and you doxed someone, you know, you would be cancelled. Yeah, that would be it.
It's where we live. He lived in a different kingdom. It's patriarchal society where he could do what he wanted. Him and Siskel. So yeah, all right. So 3D sucks. Are we all agreed on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you enjoy what we do here on the New Flesh podcast, there are a number of ways you can contribute to the success of the show. Consider supporting us financially by becoming a Patreon member and donating monthly or yearly. Alternatively, you can donate money through the Buy Me a Coffee platform. If you're strapped for cash at the moment, there are other ways to support the New Flesh. You can give us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. These really do help others find our show and help spread the word. Or you can just simply tell your friends about us. Back to the show. So this film, I think some things that are different about this film. A couple of things. It's the most diverse Friday yet. You know, Vera, we get a little insight into her sort of what presumably Hispanic or Cuban upbringing. Excuse my not knowing the difference, really, from her mama speaking. There's she was also in Weekend at Bernie's. Who the hell was she in Weekend at Bernie's?
Vito's missus.
Oh, no shit. Really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Hot.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's hot. Okay. She is hot. Okay. There's actually a bit of dare I say that this was a bit of social commentary here. So they go to that stupid convenience store, Shelley and Vera, and when she's taking a while to get her money out, the clerk says, "We don't accept no food stamps."
Yeah.
But you don't just say that to anyone, do you?
No.
Like she's saying that because she's
Yes.
Latinx.
Yeah.
Latinx. Is that right? Well, that's great. That's something. Like that's situating it in a real world. Like you know what I mean? And saying they're off the beaten track. So the bikers also add a bit of diversity. But overall, it's not just nubiles, you know. So we get different types of people getting nailed. Like so the bikers, the old-fashioned bullies, you know what I mean? Like so that is you get such a different emotional response seeing them get killed than you do Vera, for instance. Like, you know, Vera is sort of I go, oh, you know, whereas with the bikers, you sort of like almost cheering, like, or with some of them, like the female biker, like she's, you know, sort of, we see her having fun and stuff, and then she just like disappears, and it's sort of, you've got a jumble of emotions. It's not as easy. Like when Shelley gets killed, you're like, oh my God, yes. Yeah.
Thank God.
But I think the real difference here is that, and I don't know if they pushed on with this, or maybe they did, there's several disgustos who get killed in this one. So the couple at the beginning.
Hey, Harold was my favorite.
Stinky, dowdy, Mr. and Mrs. Gross. Okay. Edna and Harold Gross.
I really liked Harold until I saw him on the toilet. And then I was like, I don't care.
AJ, I love that, like, that you've revealed, like, that seeing someone on a toilet suddenly makes you hate. I feel the same way, by the way. So, all you've got to do is just if you've got an arch enemy, just get a picture of them on the toilet and photocopy it and send it to everyone. Okay, and say, look, there they are. There it is.
I thought it was funny when he was eating the fish food.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny when he had the bunny. I thought, oh, Harold, Edna's a bit of a bitch.
But he ate the produce as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it back.
Eating the donuts, drinking the juice.
Drinking from the juice and putting it back on the shelf, that's next level.
Yeah, but the toilet killed me.
Well,
what got me with the toilet is it's hard to tell how long he was there for before he heard some noises and just pulled his pants up without wiping.
That's exactly
nobody
right.
in this movie wipes their butt.
Yeah.
The disgusting hippie does the same thing later in the movie. Both times. Do they do this on purpose? Do they do something when this happens? Every time this happens in a movie, I'm sure everyone who isn't a fucking disgusting pig says, excuse me, I don't care who's outside. You missed something. You missed a spot.
Yeah.
But both times in this movie, they just get up and you go, no, there is no situation in life where you just get up. Okay?
There must be some situations, if your house is on fire or something.
No, I'm staying there.
So your house is burning down around you.
Yes.
And you stop to do the job properly.
Yes.
And wash your hands.
Yes. So anyway, I thought that was so interesting that they elected. They were like, anyway, we've seen the hot people get killed. Anyway, now it's time for the disgustos.
Yeah.
And you go, is it? Can't we get back to the hot nubiles? And they're like, no. Yeah, that was yesterday.
Yeah.
Today, now what we want to see is gross people. Get me.
What I do love about that whole early scene there is that the husband he doesn't speak any lines at all to the wife. all of his lines are to the rabbit or to or to himself.
That's so sad, don't you think?
Yeah.
He's got their just relationship is so awful.
She's just a ball breaker.
Oh, she is a ball buster. That is just fucking hell. You were just shut up, Edna. Shut up. But some guys do like Edna. You know what I mean?
They love it.
You've got a friend. Everyone's got a friend who's got with Edna, and you just go, oh, you just go, Richie, what's wrong, man? What do you get out of this? And they like being. It's S&M, really, is what it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was gross. But yeah, AJ, what did you think of the music?
Oh, I liked the intro. The intro was good.
Diddling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was up
good.
for it.
It's reminiscence of Goblin, isn't it? It's reminiscent of Goblin. Yeah.
So, and now, Ricky, what do you think when the theme of movies where the theme appears in the movie as diegetic sound?
Oh, yeah, we did hear that, didn't we, in the store?
Yes.
Which I only picked up sort of on my second
go
viewing.
round.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
I'm sure I'm sure Sheila's shocked to hear that I watched it. Well, I watched it 1.5 times. So
yeah. I did something similar.
Second time round. Yeah, I don't know. I think it shows perhaps the budget constraints really.
That's a slam. So it's a slam.
It is a bit of a slam.
Well, because I don't think I've ever been in my life happy to hear a composed theme or a title song in the story world. It's just I don't like anything about it. I don't like the discussion they would have had in the editing room about it. I don't like the way they think it's clever. It's not.
Yeah.
This movie was made for $2 million. It made $36 million. That was just at the box office. Forget video, forget cable and everything else. So this was the other two were monster smashes as well. They had cash.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you think it's just lazy?
Well, it's everything you want it to be. It's lazy. It's dumb. It's deep. I hate it. But then again, in that stupid movie, which you've never seen, thank God, Ricky, is called this movie called Solo, which is a Star Wars movie. They put the Imperial March in the movie as a recruitment song.
That
you know what I
really
mean?
sucks,
Like
yeah.
he's walking around and he looks over and it says "Join the Empire," and you hear the song. They're making a joke of it, you know, and you just go, "Sorry, that's one of the greatest composed tracks of all time."
Yeah.
I really don't think we should be making a big joke of it. We should be making a joke of this movie, not that. So
Well, I doubly won't see it now.
don't.
Well, that theme was actually it actually became sort of a bit of a minor hit. According to Manfredi, it became really popular at gay nightclubs and discos. So, also strangely, it shares a credit. So Manfredi wrote it with someone called Michael Zager, and they share the credit with a fictional band called Hot Ice. So I don't quite know why they thought it necessary to invent a band that played the track. I don't know. Seems a bit strange. Maybe it's that Goblin thing. I don't know. I mean, Goblin, for those who don't know, wrote a lot of... Well, they were sort of a prog rock band from Italy who wrote the majority of scores. Well, not the majority, but a lot of scores for Argento films. And they sort of had a different take on the whole horror thing, turning it more of a thrilling, exciting, almost danceable sort of horror music. So maybe it's got something to do with that. I don't know, but
it comes when you put that those high tempo beats and stuff, it becomes orgiastic. You know, becomes let's do a dance of death. You know? And but you lose your gain. You know, like I mean, Goblin have got their own sound, and it's a spirit. It is terrifying in its own way, but in this movie, this theme, actually, I guess it's doing exactly what they want it to do, which is it's a nod and a wink. It's saying let's have fun. Do you know what I mean? It's not saying I want to scare the pants off you. It's saying let's all just have a bit of fun. Yeah.
So overall, did you like the theme? Like, do you like what they did in the opening with that, or do you think they should have just gone with the more atonal orchestral score?
Well, generally speaking, I like all of the strange choices, you know, the creative choices. I know I've slammed the way they've used it later in the film, but I like the track, and I think that the most charming thing about this entire series is the weird stuff. So, you know, they're oddly conservative in terms of their narrative usually, and then there's just these elements that they flip or add in, and these bring in these innovations. And I think in this one, that theme definitely isn't a welcome innovation, because you can't just... We've had two other movies. We can't be a carbon copy. This is really and they're going with it. You know, there is something to be said, even though, because you could sit around all day and say, "Oh, don't do it like that. Just give me the old shit." It's like, well, you know, sometimes you do need to go out on a limb and say, well, let's try something just a little different. And that's what they've done.
But they didn't continue that for the fourth one, which was a shame. I was hanging out to hear it in the fourth one.
Yeah, that's a change again. Well, that's the thing. It's like, for some reason, all of these movies, they really, the continuity is a mess. You know, the makeup and the you know, whatever. And it just seems like they wipe the slate clean every time.
Yeah.
You know, like this movie they shot in LA, I think. So it's got a really different feel. They've built everything, you know, from scratch. You know, Jason's different again.
Yeah.
And so it all adds to this sense that I don't know. I'm surprised that no one really seemed to care about this.
Yeah. But it does seem now I haven't seen the other bloody million Friday the 13th that came after this, but it does seem like these four are more linked than what comes later on, because I mean, you said in the last podcast that they just go totally away from the original story in the next few.
Well, you know, no, we won't get hung up on the future ones, but number 4, because we'll talk about that a bit later, introduces a character who dominates the next 2 films. So 4, 5, and 6 have the same protagonist.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so not to ruin it, but that changes things slightly. So arguably by 4, they're sort of they've brought in, you know, someone you really could hang on to. Whereas, because I mean, but it's not by design in these first few. Like, you know, the first actress, she has said that she, you know, she liked the film, I think, but she got a stalker because of it, and sort of said, "Oh, look, I don't want to do it anymore." And they killed her off in the second one. The second chick, just as she has regretfully said, that she kind of wished she had continued on, but she just thought she had other opportunities at the time, and so we get this third chick, and she just sort of hangs around for this one, and that's it for her. So it's this weird. It's so strange to have, those final girls just so either easily dispatched or interchanged. And
a lot of the time it's because the actors don't want to come back. That's the problem.
Yes,
and I don't get that too because it's such a successful franchise. Like regardless of if you like the films or not, like a lot of people are going to see like and maybe actors don't realize this at the time, but there is a window of opportunity for you to really bust out and become well known and a household name, and you've got to sort of take what you can get, especially when you're getting stuff that a lot of people are seeing and there's a lot of money involved. Like I find it really strange that the actress that played Ginny didn't come back for the third one, because they were going to write the entire storyline around her. It was supposed to focus on a sort of a post-traumatic situation where Ginny goes and learns self-defense and returns back to college, and then discovers that finds a character's corpse in a dormitory, and then she prepares to track down Voorhees and face him off in a final confrontation, which I don't know, it's something different. It sounds like
sounds cool.
It does sound cool. It sounds a bit more like almost like a revenge.
But the 3D would have ruined it again, because that's way more like, that annoys me though. So how come they put in all this effort there, and then what? As soon as they started this movie, they was like, yeah, fuck that. Anyway, get the 3D camera ready.
Well, she said no though. She said, I'm not coming back.
But now, and it's funny because people look back sort of very fondly on her as being one of the best.
For sure, yeah, definitely the most natural and
yes,
girl next door sort of vibe.
Yes, but between you and me, Chris in this movie, the lead, I'm hot for Chris.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's hot.
Her hair is the best hair in the world. Sexy, windswept hair. Like, look at that. Like that sort of teased back,
Yeah.
Just so naughty. What a naughty hairstyle, And no, I'm not going to go into too much detail, AJ. But you look at that hairstyle and you say, "You naughty girl, what have you been doing?"
I'm running away from Jason.
Yeah, well, that and and the rest, and all the rest is what I'm saying. Okay, but anyway,
Got a pudding bowl to be seen.
Oh yeah, that Sheila's are so offended at the pudding bowl haircut of Alice. Is it? Yes.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. She's not a fan of the Princess Di look.
No, that was Ricky's big defense.
Well, I don't love the hairstyle either, but I realised that, mad shit happened back in the old days, and that's just,
No, but Sheila has said that even back in the day it was a dumb haircut.
Yeah, it wasn't great back in the day.
Right.
Like, look, it honestly looks like you've had your head in a punishment toilet and they've cut around it.
Oh, geez, that's vivid. AJ,
maybe that's why some people like it.
No one likes it. AJ, what do you think of the pudding bowl haircut?
I like it. It's a bit of fun.
A bit of fun.
I want you to get that haircut.
Look, I think that I could be Jason, so maybe I'll get his haircut. I think that'd be a sweet role to play. You just have to be creepily positioned sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, no lines. And then just
it does involve some stunt sort of credentials though, because the Jason in the fourth one is a stunt man.
Oh well, you've just shit on my dreams.
So I heard this critique on this documentary. His name was Jason. They talk about Jason as being a tragic figure. Is this part of his appeal, or is he a tragic figure? Do we like? Why do we like him? Do we hate him? Is he a creep? Is he just a creep?
I don't know. He's
because people say, oh, he was a victim, and he's seen his mum die as well, and so he's sort of getting revenge.
I think because that whole mythology is a little bit muddled and not very well fleshed out in the first couple, that I don't think you think too much about it once you get into 3 and 4 and maybe beyond, you know.
Well, everyone in this doco was talking like in such unself-conscious terms about all of this. Like they're just like, you know, all the Dread Central guys, bloody disgusting.com. Well, it's all the same guy, by the way. It's all white guys with black hair, like, you know, and saying, you know, just lovingly talking about Jason as a tragic figure, going to way too much detail. And you go, guys, come on, you are projecting a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's too far, really. Like, I don't think that whole part of the story is fleshed out enough for it to give it that sort of weight and meaning to paint him as a tragic figure. I think I just see him as a fucking psycho.
But arguably, him and his mum are more fleshed out than anyone else.
That is true.
Yeah.
So
but that is because there's this revolving door of characters, though, because people have to get killed off, and
yes.
And as we know, actors are reluctant to come back and revisit their roles, and so that makes it a bit difficult. What do you think? Is he a tragic figure?
I don't know. No, I don't know what he is, but I think he has, you know, I'm a big fan of ideas that cut through, and I'm fascinated by that. And, you know, for whatever reason, he is has become a very memorable character. And that is, to do that is very, very difficult. You know, just look at all the other, you know, nameless, you know, ridiculous villains of history, and you just go, who cares? He's in the top, well, easily in the top 10, maybe in the top, you know, 5 most iconic, you know, certainly the most iconic horror figures of all time. He'd probably be in the top 3. You know what I mean? Like you know something's iconic when you change, you know, the meaning of things. Like if you see a hockey mask on the ground, you'll think of Jason. You know, like there are other things like that he does, that slow moving that he does, particularly later on. I'm just fascinated. He's cut through with people. People like him. You know what I mean? They in the same way that they like Freddy. They like. This was one thing one guy said in the documentary, which is true. Jason is a showman. You know, like he's not. If he wanted to, he could be a lot less flashy with the way he kills people. But he kills people very uniquely and imaginatively, and he's got a range of things that he likes to do. Do you know what I mean? Like he does. There's ways. Like I mean, if he was a sniper, this movie would not be good. You know, like or if he was like,
that'd be so boring.
I know. Or if he was like, or if his thing was, I like to kill people with ninja stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you'd go, okay, this movie's
that would be doubly shit.
Yeah, that's right. So he's so imaginative, like, and something about I don't know, like, and I know it's very much, we can get into this with the Me Too stuff, but it's very much out of favor now, you know, this sort of the morality play that's going on about teen sex and all the you know, the panic around teen sex, and that's all he's sort of enacting. But there is something, and I don't think that's ever really going to change, despite all the OnlyFans accounts and, you know, all of this, you know, get your dick out and just jerk it off at meetings and whatever they're saying is good, whatever the left is saying is good, then like I know that they say that, but really in every home and in every household, and, you know, the very human worry you have around all this stuff, I think, you know, and we're all very, very quite moral in that way. And I think watching him met out justice to promiscuous teens is and always will be quite appealing. You know what I mean? And that's very un-PC now.
So Chris's past encounter with Jason was originally intended to involve rape. So there's sort of a vague impression of that idea.
That's how he's acting it, though. That's how he's acting that scene.
Yeah.
He's not trying to kill her because he's got her dead to rights.
That's right, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And she wakes up after, so maybe he did stick his winky in her kitchen sinky. Is what I'm saying.
Well, that sort of plays into Chris's character being uncomfortable sort of in romantic situations with Rick, and, you know, and talking about, it's all very vague, but you get this sort of idea that that something more happened, but this idea was deemed too dark by the filmmakers to make it explicit.
Well, that's the big no. And I'm not profiling, but it's well known that American cinema has and does have a problem, mainstream American cinema, with sex and violence being intermixed.
That's right.
They don't like it. So, keep it separate. John Wick, as I've said, kill 300 people, titty pops out, fucking shut the nation down. Shut it down. Whereas here, these movies have always gotten into trouble, particularly when they've tried to make that link a lot more, like, that famous Mario Bava death of the spear going through the two teenagers who are nailing. That is the metaphor of these movies. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's sex and death intertwined. It's the same thing that you get from Hammer movies with Christopher Lee, biting a buxom woman's neck and her pain and ecstasy on her face. That is, what we want, and in these movies, that link, whenever it's made, the MPAA have really come down on them and said, right, you know what I mean? Enough. Cut it all out. So that would have really changed it up. And it's but it's also a bit of a hard left shift, isn't it? Like, it really does muddle things if Jason is a sex pest as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's already a killer, if it was real life, he definitely would be doing all that. But but on the movies, we're just like, nah, just be more like, be a focused bad guy, like Frankenstein or Dracula or something. Don't mix your portfolios.
What was your favorite kill?
In the third one.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a few that they all stick in my mind. Like, Rick's eye coming out is fucking gross because that's a head crush. That's horrible. Getting stabbed with a hot poker is fucking horrible.
I like the handstand guy.
Me too. That's my favorite.
Yeah. He gets cut in half.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking sick.
Yeah, right through the crotch,
Bit of a mind trick though, because like when you see him, he's cut in the midsection. But the way Jason comes down, we're meant to think that he's cut him in half, like split.
Yeah.
Never cared for that.
Oh,
really?
No, I think it's great, but like I just couldn't add it up in my head. I'm like, wait a minute, his body doesn't match the way he was killed.
Okay.
All right. So no, there's a lot of horrible deaths in this. I think that the bikers get, at least the Ali gets really harshly dealt with. Because he sort of gets killed twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he gets beaten so hard that I figured he was dead anyway. Like,
how cool were his chains? It was pretty sick.
They were pretty cool.
Just old-fashioned bikers.
One thing I will say about the deaths is Shelley's death is not nearly as satisfying as it should be.
No. Agreed.
He just gets his throat slit,
Yeah.
He should definitely, lots of bad stuff should have happened to him.
Yeah.
Jason should have done him slow,
Oh, yes, definitely. Well, I think, I need to run through a few things. So, firstly, since we're talking about Me Too, this movie is very heteronormative, so, I mean, that goes across all these movies, really. So, no lady dicks, no non-binary queers or anything, nothing, no queers in this movie. And I think that, needs to be said straight up, because if it was made today, I don't know, it would be almost the opposite. I'm certain. I think that maybe that's what they should do. Superman's sons come out. I reckon Jason should come out. As what, I don't know, but it doesn't really matter, does it? It's just not whatever. Not just he's into something a bit extra. So, Andy, the handstand guy, says, I got you a date for Shelley. So that's what's this thing? Like, you go away for the weekend and you just get people, like, you say, I got you a date. Does that mean like
everyone needs to be paired up so that they can all have sexy time?
Right.
Yeah.
So women are just like, passed around, I've got you, Shelley, got this date for you. Anyway, it didn't work out. So I think the biggest charge in this movie is Rick. Rick is just another sex pest. He does forced kissing. He does my favorite thing, which is calling her frigid. It's always good when you say, do the old, did it just drop a couple of degrees in here or something? That sort of. Did it just get cold in here? In other words, you're a frigid bitch. And why don't you put out more? All right.
But he's got the hot privilege though, right? Because he's the handsome,
AJ.
well-built guy.
He is hot. Looks like a Ken doll.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez, I reckon actually, Sheila, you can hear. Is Rick, the tall guy, number 3? Is he hot?
Is he the blonde guy who's
Gets his eye popped out?
Has his shirt off?
Yeah, he's reasonable. He's good looking. Yes,
Good
He's
looking.
traditionally good looking.
yeah, he's
Wow.
traditionally good. I mean, I prefer Scott for hot sex pests, but
From number 2.
from number 2,
This guy's tall. He doesn't have that dark hair or the piercing eyes, but he's still got that sort of chiseled lumberjack.
He's
look.
he's main man quality, and you are correct. He is an absolute prick. He with the forced kissing and accusing her of not giving him enough sexual activity. Yeah,
He says there's only so many cold showers I can take.
I know, it's so good.
And then he says that he's going to fuck off with some other bird, doesn't he, at the start?
He said that he gave up a weekend with Mary Jo Conrad.
Mm.
Obviously, another woman he was going to force himself upon if he couldn't wear Chris down. Shelley does say one thing. He says he gets rejected and he says, bitch. So, there you go. True as the feeling might be.
Well, when he's not allowed to skinny dip because he's not skinny enough.
Yes.
But that was self-censorship though, right?
Yeah.
In today's version, everyone would be his size or bigger, for body positivity and,
It was just pathetic. Like even with the bikies when he said, "Oh, did I do good?"
Yeah. Well, it's just
Pathetic.
it's just a character type that is very unsympathetic, like you just go like there's no everything seems to be self-pity and attention seeking. That's the worst thing. Attention seeking is dreadful.
I had a question. There's that scene where Shelley, he's sort of faked his death as one of his practical gags, and he falls out of the closet, and everyone's pissed off with him. But Rick says it's not his fault. He doesn't know any better.
Oh yes.
So what does Rick mean by that? Does he mean that Shelley's like, I don't know, retarded or
Oh,
something?
geez. Yeah. Well, yes.
Okay. I read that correctly then.
Look, back in the day, I know I've mentioned this doco a couple of times, but it was ridiculous largely, but it was made in 2009 for like, I don't know, getting ready for the remake or whatever. Now, things have changed, thankfully, but even 10 years ago, completely different world. Like Tom Savini is the narrator, and he says at a few points, he's doing like one of those walking around sort of like a dark, stormy set with all these chicks tied up and everything. And he's going like, talking about, and his name was Jason, like doing a really big sort of Universal Tours type monologue about it. And then he's looking down the camera and he says, and who would have thought that this mangled mongoloid would be so big? And you just go, mongoloid. Mongoloid. He says it a few times. He says it a couple of times where you just go, wow, like that is that, because these movies do at several points highlight Jason's what in the old parlance would have been retardation. But I think it's, his disability or whatever. Like that, his mum does the most subtle version of it. She says, he wasn't ... ellipses. He wasn't a very good swimmer, whereas, in this, you just go on all that. He was this deformed man, like underscoring how deformed he is. You know what I mean? Like he's got to go. So I don't know. And Rick here really is just, in another way, just like anyone who doesn't get it in the 80s is the R word, like that's, you just go like, oh, he doesn't get it. All right. He's not all there. probably just has ADHD or something.
Yeah, he's just a dick.
So anyway, that you've heard the charges. What do we give this out of 10? Me too. Come on.
Oh, it's pretty high. Would you say like a 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 7. Yep, definitely. Because Rick is the main hero sort of boyfriend, and he's got all the worst stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Like it's just that forced kissing is so strange. Do you know what I mean? Like yeah, it's just is something that is totally beyond the pale now. So don't do it. All right.
Just as someone who lived through that era, he was just a boyfriend. Okay? he was just a boyfriend.
No, he was just your boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was every boss and every boyfriend, you know. So
all right.
I don't think they didn't write him like that. They just said, "Oh, we'll just write a boyfriend."
Okay. That's the grim picture you paint. I think we should bring in number 4. What do we think?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So 1984, Friday the 13th, the final chapter. It's another Friday. Well, technically it is Saturday. And Jason is taken to the morgue after the events of part 3. It's no surprise that Jason's not dead. He kills some horny healthcare workers and escapes to continue his work. As a little side note, one of those, in case I forget it later, one of those medical workers is Fackler from Police Academy, who I like. Enter Tommy Jarvis, a bright 12-year-old boy with a fascination for monsters who lives in the woods with his mother and sister Trish. I could say divorced mother, since they make such a big deal of it. Presumably not too far from Crystal Lake. There's also a new gaggle of hot and horny teens that have decided to vent their frustrations in the cabin opposite the Jarvises. There's Paul and his girlfriend Sam. There's Virgin Sarah. There's Doug and Dead Fuck Jimmy, played by Crispin Glover, and Prankster Ted, played by Lawrence Monason from The Last American Virgin. This time, there's also a burly hunter, Rob, who seems to have been hunting Jason since his sister was killed in part 2. As Jason begins to work his way through the teens, there are unexpected developments. Paul chooses Sam over a hot twin. Jimmy nails the other hot twin and discovers that he's not a dead fuck. Sarah loses her virginity and falls in love with Doug, which is nice. Anyway, they all get slaughtered. And it's showtime. So everyone's dead, including Mrs. Jarvis, except Rob, Trish, and little Tommy. Jason stalks them and gets the jump on Rob, killing him. We know because Rob says he's killing me while it's happening. While Jason menaces Trish, Tommy comes up with a plan after reading Rob's newspaper cutouts detailing the endless murders that have occurred not too far from Tommy's house, mind you. Tommy gets the idea to shave his head to look like a young Jason and confuse him. So Tommy bamboozles Jason with his new cosplay look, and Trish gets the jump on him, and eventually Tommy drives a machete into his head. Jason is dead, but it seems little Tommy might be getting some new ideas. The Friday the 13th saga continues. This is the final chapter. What did we think?
AJ, do you want to give Teddy Bear a kiss?
I do like him. There's something about him that I like.
So Teddy is our full character. Every one of these films seems to have a schlocky prankster. You know, it was Shelley last time. It's Ted this time.
He's a lot more likable than Shelley. If we're talking
definitely.
About the prankster.
He's still but he's different though. He's an asshole though. Like he's not. I don't know. He's not like Shelley. Like he's not. I don't know, a pathetic goofball guy. He's just.
Well, he sticks by his guns. You know what I mean? Like he's an asshole and he's inappropriate, but he also knows when to say when, because what made him, well, in my opinion, what made him really appealing is when he sort of gives up on the chicks and just watching the Stag movie.
Yeah,
and that's him saying, fuck it, I'm gonna have fun, I'm gonna be about me, you know. And I
feel like that's relatable.
It is relatable. Like you just go like that is absolutely relatable. Like whereas if he kept going, you'd go, oh Jesus, get the fucking hint, bro.
Yeah.
Like whereas he's got it and he's like, and actually
he does push pretty hard though.
Well, he does harder than he needs to as well, I think. You know, like
I think that, and AJ can maybe back this up. It's really unappealing to be trying that hard.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But you can't wait forever.
But I think too they've made it like that because he's meant to be the man to Crispin.
Yeah.
And then it shows that he's just a loser.
Yes, which is nice.
That is good.
Because that is a conscious reversal.
Yeah.
Because, you know, because Crispin prevails, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Hot birds.
Oh, aplenty.
It's by far got the hottest chicks. Like twins.
Twincest.
I mean, they've stepped it up here, haven't they? Getting twins involved.
You're not fucking around. When you got twins in the movie, you're like, we came to play. All right.
Yeah.
Everyone sit down. So there's so many hot chicks in this movie. And so much that it's always nice when you get asked and answered. Do you know what I mean? So one of the chicks in Weird Science, one of the girlfriends, is in this movie. And I used to watch Weird Science and go, oh, geez, wonder what it would be like to see her naked. And in this movie, it's answered, and it's a good answer. It's very good.
They did you a solid.
They did. They were like, "What do you think?" And I said, my brain has gone. It's like a whiteout in my brain. You know?
Yeah.
So anyway, she's hot, and Virgin Sarah is pretty hot too. It's all good. So good, man.
It's also got the most flesh of the 4 films too.
Yeah.
Which is great. The skinny dipping scene is good.
Don't you think midnight mad cold skinny dipping is rock and roll?
Yeah.
Like that is like, you know, I don't know. That's a real trope of these movies is the chicks like that, like they've I mean, I'm always up for it, but you come to a cabin on a lake. You've got your bathers. You're probably wearing your bathers. You know what I mean? Like you've been there all day. So, but everyone always just goes, "All right, it's all coming off." Like that's so like, you know, be free. Just be free is what I'm saying.
said every nudist male on the planet.
Yes.
Oh. Yes, well, that actually they didn't shoot this film in summer though. They shot it in winter.
Ooh.
And some of the chicks got so cold doing some of these scenes that I think one of them got hypothermia.
Jesus.
And the guy that plays Jason was really quite pissed off with the director and had quite a few sort of verbal skirmishes with him about the director's treatment of some of the cast and what they were getting them to do in the conditions, and so much so that he was so pissed off with that he took his name off the credits. So
oh wow.
But you know, if you're going to make an omelette, you've got to crack a few eggs, right? So
well, this movie is the best one so far.
Yep.
By far. You know what I mean? Like, so
what I love about this is, so Tommy's character, you know, he has this interest in makeups and effects, which serves obviously as a bit of a homage to Tom Savini, but it also shows that Jason is basically defeated by movie makeup effects.
Yes.
Which is cool.
Yes. Clever. Yeah, no, the movie's starting to reference itself more and more. We get the someone reading Fangoria magazine in the third one, which is, you know, the biggest cheerleader of this series, and so it's starting to really play to its audience. And I think that this incorporating the sort of young Tom Savini character in the Fell Dog is quite clever. But this film brings with it a bunch of innovations that I think set it apart. So the introduction of Tommy Jarvis, you know, a fleshed out kid with a recognizable family, you know, his mum and his sister. His story also ends up paralleling Jason's in that his mum is murdered. You know what I mean? So we do get a little bit of reference there. The teens in this movie are sort of backgrounded, which I think just improves the story incredibly because we don't have to be with them all the time. But having said that, their trials and tribulations are somewhat fleshed out. They're given nice sort of young love vignettes of wins and losses and, you know, bit of plastic heart musical chairs and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, which, you know, in the other films, we don't really get the same 1, 2, 3. Like, we talked about Last American Ted and Chris McGlover's character. Their sort of reversal, and one of them getting the girl, one of them not, and everything. That's a real 1, 2, 3. It begins in the car with the him calling him a dead fuck. And his increasing frustration at that, don't call me a dead fuck, it's so good. And then the great reversal, that's way more fleshed out than the others. We also get the last innovation, which is Rob the Jason hunter. Okay.
Yeah.
A logical outgrowth from the story. Now, this leads me on to I need to get your ideas on this. I never really put it together before. I think the last time I thought about this was probably in high school, and then I've just buried it. So think about this. 2, 3, and 4 happen over the same weekend.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Rob's vigilante quest has been going on for like 2 days. But he's acting like he's been on the road forever. Like, that's really bad direction and writing. That's like someone's told him, okay, you're a weary Jason hunter. It's like, wait, my sister died 2 days ago, and I'm acting like he went missing fucking 10 years ago, and he's about 40. So I don't know.
And he sucks though. He gets killed so quickly.
I know, but that gets me though, because I felt safe with him. and he's like, and the way he dies, like, it's everything. It's scary and hilarious. Like, him screaming that stuff is scary and ridiculous.
I think that's really realistic. I think that's the kind of shit you'd probably be screaming out.
I think so too.
If someone was stabbing you 7 times or whatever.
I think you're right. No, that's why it's scary. They say that I think it was the director or someone actually said they put it in because they read that in a newspaper that someone was screaming out some mad shit like that as they were getting done.
Yeah, and no one came to help them.
And so there's something about it, like I have to say that it's really effective because it's the best kind of thing in these movies. Hilarious and terrifying, all at once, all wrapped up in one ball. He's killing me. He says it a lot. All because he said, I have to go and get the knife. You don't need the knife.
No.
Leave it. Leave the knife. Just leave. Just go and leave.
Let's talk about the fell dog. Corey's great in this.
He's good. He's strong.
He's very good. And yeah, I just love his sort of geeky quality. He's into making these horror masks,
but you just know he's going to be a star. Like, he's got that thing.
Yeah,
he's just got that thing. I don't really believe in magic, but there's some people have that X factor, and he's got it. Like, he's just there. You just go like, oh wow, everything he says, it's like he was born for the movies. Oh mom, like all that stuff is just, it's the opposite of Jake Lloyd in The Phantom Menace.
Yes, yeah,
where he's just is the worst.
He's just a kid.
He's the worst. And whereas Corey Feldman is an actor.
Yeah.
Like a natural performer, just a natural performer. And I'm not saying that his sort of MJ inspired dancing is good later on in life. Or that his association with his band, The Angels, is good. But anyway.
I'm really glad that you brought up dancing. The dancing in the living room was terrible.
Crispin Glover, that's all him, baby.
Terrible.
That's all him.
Well, that's part of my trivia here is that's what he would go to clubs and dance like that to take the piss.
Oh, okay.
No, but that dancing is so shitty, it's not shitty. You know what I mean? Like, it's so but he loves all that. He's been a madman forever. You know what I mean? Total madman. I think there's that story where he ended up suing Spielberg and won. So he was in I think they replaced him on Back to the Future 2 or something, and he sued a lot of them and he won.
Really?
Wow.
Which is a famous story, and which is crazy. I'm not quite sure why they didn't want him. It might have been because he was weird. I think he's now maybe you guys could, AJ, Sheila, whatever. I think Crispin in this movie is quite handsome. Do you think he's handsome? I think he's...
The best he's looked. I mean, the man's sort of made a career out of awkward and gross. So, yeah, that's certainly the best Crispin.
But that's not a glowing review, is it? The best is the best he did. Do you know?
Well, I don't know.
I thought he was handsome, and now that's why.
Okay. Or he can be your boyfriend.
Well,
yeah, and he is a bit La Femme, so that fits.
I'll pass.
But it's so strange though. So if I was gay, he's probably what I'd go for.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I don't know what it is. You know, he's got something, is what I'm saying, AJ.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, okay.
It's a bit
like,
soft.
Yeah. He looks like he'd be sensitive.
Okay. Looks like he'd be a dead fuck. The twin disagrees.
Yes.
I like that he believed her. That shows how naive he was.
There's no way that anyone in these movies is having good sex.
And that he was unbelievable.
Eddie Murphy says it in, like, was it Delirious or Raw, when he's just like, you know, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, he's like 27 at the time, and he's like, you know, I'm hitting my straps now. Okay? No way that these kids are doing anything good. 30 seconds and it would be no good.
Well, when the second twin knocks on the door to say she's leaving, did you think that she was going to join in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did
you hope that she would join in?
Of course I did.
Did you pause the movie, think about what it would be like, and then keep watching?
I should have paused the movie and never watched the rest of it.
That would be worth it. That would be totally worth it.
I did get sad when Corey got a cock blocked by his mum.
Oh, yes.
That he was losing his shit about seeing some action.
That, you know, that scene is so real.
I know.
So wonderful. And you know what I mean? Like, just so human. And again, I feel that we will never see that scene again, you know, like, and it's so real.
Yeah.
You just go, wow, yes, exactly. You know, and they filmed it correctly. Like, no, he wouldn't have seen anything.
Yeah.
And, but we get the effect, you know, and it was just so delicious, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, his mum did not want him looking.
Well, back in those days, you were rabid for any sort of flesh, you know, because there was virtually no way to see it, you know.
Right. Yeah, but see, you say that, but it hasn't changed now. I went to the beach last year, right? And there were titties at the beach, okay? And I was just as excited as Corey was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and people go, oh, but there's porn everywhere. And I go, yeah, I don't care. I don't care. I'll never care.
Because this is real.
It doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't care. It's like how much there is out there. Those titties were real. And it was
there will never be enough.
You can't take it away from me, okay? That's what I'm saying. So the deaths in this movie, they all become gags, you know, it's all set up and pay off. Now these are real unique, like, gags, you know, and they really try and have a nod and a wink now. Like, they do these setups like, hey, do you know where's the corkscrew? And that's the corkscrew. In fact, he uses it earlier, I think, and then he asks about it and then he gets killed with it, you know. So they try and, you know, find these unique connections or make them memorable. Like Jason stabs one of the twins in the shadow of lightning, you know. That's real craft. You know, so I find that the deaths in this are really, really quite memorable, and not just arbitrary, you know.
I wrote down, imagine running away from a killer in a towel. What a nightmare. I couldn't think of anything worse.
That would be, yes.
Titties would be popping out. Like,
yes.
I'd just be struggling.
I know.
Surely you just rip that towel off and go for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You've got to be pretty crazy. You got to be like, it depends what the level of hysteria is, you know, like, because I mean, that's pretty mad, like running naked in the night. That's mad. You know, like, yeah, I don't know. Well, I do. I've got some Me Too stuff, but Ricky, did you have anything you needed to add?
Oh, just on the on the Feldman issue, Ted White, the guy who played Jason, hated Feldman and called him the meanest goddamn little kid he'd ever dealt with. So I think Feldman was a bit of a brat on set.
But of course he was going to be a prick. They're all pricks. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, what evidence has he got? Like, he's a star. He's got everything he wants. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Of course he was.
What had Corey done before this? Had he already established himself?
Oh shit! I think this was his intro. I think
was it
near enough? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, it's probably the youngest I've seen him. So.
Yeah, because he looks a lot younger than he does in the Goonies.
Yeah, I was just wondering. Yeah.
All right. So we begin with a reference. Ted references a woman called BJ Betty. Now, if you've got the name BJ Betty, it's fairly obvious what your skill set is, you know? So that's what Ted thinks of women, BJ Betty. Skinny dipping, I think skinny dipping is probably banned now. Do you know what I mean? It's a sexual crime, you know, everyone's genitals are out. And as we know, if the genitals are out, it's immediately a sexual crime. So, you know, I mean, that's just how it is. So
unless you're a trans woman in a female-only spa.
Yeah, well, that goes without saying. But it's a sexual crime here, and especially it's a crime when the bosoms are this good. So it's beyond the pale. So you know, my suggestion with the body that hot, I got an idea. I've been looking around some the way some other cultures do it. I suggest some kind of like loose fabric that covers the entire body, perhaps, like a black sort of sheet.
Yeah. And does it have a sort of a something you can look out of?
Yeah. I was thinking, just, you know, for visibility, we have some something to look out of. But generally speaking, it's the only thing for it. So, I mean, you know, my chubby is your problem. Is what I'm saying. Okay. So anyway. Yes, we talked about this. Want to give Teddy Bear a kiss? AJ did not. Teddy is a predator, more forced kissing. He also says, I had the girl, she was mine. Women aren't your property, Teddy. So he grooms women with pornography. While the pornography's on, he also says, what a pig. Of the women. What a pig. Which is probably the most offensive line in the movie.
Oh, and he's mean to the hitchhiker.
Yes, the hitchhiker.
Yes, but that is a double whammy. That is the hatred of BBWs and the hatred of hippies all in one. Like, that is just like, you know, and she's a disgusto as well because she's eating and there's blood and banana and all mixed together. That's a reference to the disgustos in the previous one. They go, remember when we were gross? And I go, yes, I remember. So Rob the Hunter randomly kisses Trish. Like, he's like saying goodnight to her and he just goes, mwah. So I don't know. She does love it, but is that the rule? If they love it? Because you don't know if they love it until you do it. So is the rule, I got to do it in case you love it? I don't know what the rule is. So, you know, here's a message for you people out there, okay? Not all twins are up for it, okay? They're not all up for it. You know, we hope they are, but they're not up for it, okay?
Where was that other twin going?
Go home.
Yeah, but where's home? In the woods?
Oh, just around. Another house around.
Like, sometimes you've got to sit there and watch Rage until 6 a.m. if your friend is
getting railed.
Yeah. If your twin's getting railed. That's the way it is sometimes.
Right. Actually, that's true. You can't split up.
No.
For various reasons. For lots of reasons. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's you're a bad friend. It's unsafe. It's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Just stay there. You know? You don't have to have sex with Teddy.
No. You just got to cop it.
Yeah.
Just sit on the couch.
That's right. That's good. So anyway, Sarah is a virgin. Now, look, another message, all right, for you pigs out there, okay? Virginity is a tool of the patriarchy, okay? You are not a gift for men. Start your OnlyFans account today and take the power back is what I'm saying, okay? Don't hold on to that virginity. Just it's on. It's on, all right?
Auction it off. Auction it off on
highest
eBay.
bidder. Yeah.
Make your money. Make your money is what, that's the thing. Don't you understand? Like, men having a chubby is disgusting unless they're paying you good money for it. And then it's the best. Then it's like who run the world is what we play in our heads when it's the other thing. Okay. So anyway, hope we're clear on that. Jimmy brings panties down to Teddy. See, in the 80s, this is how you proved you had sex. You did a degrading and humiliating sort of revenge porn act. You take your panties. Like, what do we think? AJ, what do you think? What would you think if someone had a night, on the tiles and the rest, and then took your panties and showed their mates and said, here's the proof that I had sexual intercourse.
I'm not really into it.
Yeah.
Well, nowadays, it would be all documented on your phone, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But do you notice how Teddy doesn't give them back?
Yeah.
Well, finders keepers, losers weepers. All right. So the last thing I've got here is that there's a nice little upskirt of Trish when she falls on the ground. Disgusting. Okay. So
I think you are forgetting something major. Axel at the start was a super creep in the morgue.
Oh. No, I said that I liked Fackler from Police Academy. So therefore, I did what the Democratic Party do. I forgave people I like. I said, oh, you jerked off on Zoom. Doesn't matter. You're rehired. I said, you felt up a chick before. You sniffed their hair. Doesn't matter. You're president. That is true. He was an epic creep.
Yeah.
But he loves to nail chicks while dead people are surrounding him.
And with aerobicize on.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, I found that aerobicize on YouTube. I sent it to you guys.
I think I'm going to post some of it. It's too good.
It's so good.
Such good quality too.
It is, yeah. And also, it came from a laser disc.
Oh.
Fancy. But also, doesn't he do wink, wink, nod, nod to the cops who deliver the body? He makes a bit of a necrophilia gag.
Yeah. Well, that cop is one of the. I love. There are no small parts. Okay, the cop. The Ambo who drops the guy off. Great performance. He says, he goes, nice talk. Okay, like he's really in it. Like he's he's being that guy.
Yeah.
And he's not into this morgue guy's disgusting necrophilia.
Yeah.
So yeah. And not all nurses are up for it either.
No.
But what I don't get about this as well is like, the nurses in real life. I love nurses because, they nurse you through terrible things. But, this is terrible. I can't believe I'm saying this, but a lot of the nurses I've seen, they're brought across the beam, and so they don't look like this nurse is what I'm saying. Like, this to be true. They're outside having a fag. That's a smoke, by the way, for you American listeners. We're still allowed to say that here, I think. Anyway, sorry to the nurses.
But hang on. What about Ali Ray? We had almost a whole Friday episode about her defecting from the nursing industry to start her own OnlyFans.
Oh, yes.
And totally smashing it.
So what you're saying is that there are hot nurses out there.
Yeah. They're all just leaving the profession to start OnlyFans sites.
Well, I want to believe. So I'll go with you and say, yes, there are definitely hot nurses out there. But I'm just saying, I think they're in the minority. I think there's a lot that are very overworked and just got a lot on. And, they're not what you want.
You want hot nurses giving you sponge baths?
Yes, I do. No, hospitals are disgusting. Why? I don't know why we've got any association with hospitals being hot. Like, it's not good. Like it's not an arena I think we can make very sexy. So anyway, that's the charges. What do we think now that we've added in Axel?
It's probably higher than 3.
I'd say so.
Yeah, so this maybe an 8.
Mm.
Yes, I think it is an 8, maybe an 8.5 because, it's never ending. I mean, it's beyond the pale. All of this is beyond the pale. And as I've said before, unfortunately, I enjoyed it all the more. So that is a disappointing state of affairs. Is when the charges are high. So is my blood pumping. I just couldn't get enough of this.
Well, I've got a little bit of a theory here to explain the reasons why these films are really appealing. We've talked about this on previous podcasts, films that get you laughing but the chubby, films like Revenge of the Nerds and Porky's.
Definitely.
Well, I think these slasher films, and Friday the 13th in particular, they give you an adrenaline-fueled chubby.
Yes.
So there's a concept, and I think you may have pioneered this, John, and that is the weird chubby.
The weird chubby, yeah.
And the weird chubby comes about by on-screen displays of flesh or sexual activity that are combined with disturbing or confusing elements.
Yeah, it's like when you see you see like sort of a half-naked clown chick, and you're like,
Yes, and the result is an experience unlike any you're likely to have in the real world. So,
send us pics at the New Flesh podcast.
Let's get weird with it.
Half naked clown chick. Really?
Yes.
That is one for the books.
Okay.
That is half naked clown chick.
Isolate the audio.
So that is the concept of the weird chubby, and I think Friday the 13th might be the king of weird chubbies.
Yes. Well, anyone have any final thoughts? I think we should probably wrap up this.
Well, my final thought is, what does the date of Friday the 13th really have to do with these films? Like, the first murder happens on Friday the 13th? Is that the only connection?
Yes. No, because she says the mum says it's his birthday today in the first film, so presumably they sort of suggest that it might be his birthday.
Okay, so he's born on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, but I'm not too sure, to be honest. And as we've established, number 2 is actually probably the 14th, 3 is the 15th, and 4 is the 16th. So we're not even on the weekend anymore. Like it's a new week, really. So
I don't like it.
Yeah, that's not good. that is a disastrous episode. But then again, these movies are so successful, so it didn't really matter in the end. Well, that was Friday the 13th. Look, the Spooktacular continues, but I think we should pivot. So too much Jason is probably not good. Like, I feel like I went overboard today. You know what I mean? Like, it was too much. So we need to pivot. So we've got a couple of options. I think one of our users online suggested we do some Argento. So I think we should at some point in the next 2 weeks do Demons 1 and 2 perhaps. And Ricky, I know you want to do Fright Night, which I think we should definitely do. So what are you guys feeling? Like, we're feeling, do you want to do Fright Night next week or do you want to do Demons?
Let's do Fright Night.
Okay, so we'll do Fright Night and then maybe we'll do Demons 1 and 2 the week after. Excellent. Well, that's it for today's show. Another episode of SIDEBOOB Cinema, your podcast within a podcast. Tune in on Friday if you want to hear Ricky and I rabbit on about political matters, hot topics. Until then, we said what we said.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm good this week.
Okay. Just checking. All for one, 1 for all. Remember?
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, long live the new flesh.
Long live the new flesh.
You sniff their hair, doesn't matter, you're president.
Oh.